several years ago, I got tickets for a beer festival down at York Fairgrounds. And I was going with a guy that I have been dating for about 4 weeks. And we were going to go down for this beer festival. It's like the most gorgeous October afternoon. And we got there and got a ride with a friend, got there and got right at it. And had ourselves a good time. And all was going great until about half an hour was left in the festival. And this guy that I was seeing started talking to some of his friends. And I was kind of standing there nodding along and felt a little bored and felt like I wasn't getting my money's worth out of my beer festival ticket. And so I was like, oh, be right back. Like, I'm just going to do another little loop here. And went around to all of these different beer stations and just like tossed them back. I was like, you got a sample? I'll take a sample. Let's have a beer. And went from like 0 to 60 in like half an hour, to the point that like I'm coming back to my friends and I'm like, whoa, like maybe I should sit down. Like, this is unexpected. And we're all like getting ready to leave this festival. And another friend of ours is like, well, I'm going to drive back. Like, do you want to ride? And I was like, no, I don't think I should be in a car right now. And she was like, okay, well, if you don't think you should be in a car right now, definitely don't get in my car. And I was like, no problem. Like, it's only a couple miles. We'll walk back. So it's like 2.5 miles back to my apartment. And so we start out on this odyssey down through York City to get home. And we make it about a third of the way before, spoiler alert, my now boyfriend, before my boyfriend is like, oh, I gotta pee. And I'm like, where are you gonna pee in the middle of this place? And he's like, no, Coombs is right here. There's this restaurant. So I have another small sit on the stoop of Coombs while he goes in to take a whiz. And we trek on. He knew about it. I found Kiwanis Lake in the middle of the city, a whole lake with ducks and geese, which to drunk me was very exciting. And we made the full trek back to the apartment, made it no problem. And we get back there and my boyfriend's like, we need to eat something. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think, like all that beer and this like Olympic trek back to the apartment, like, I don't think I want to eat. And he's like, no, I'm going to go out and get some pizza or like, like some sandwiches or something. Like, we definitely need to eat. And I'm like, no, thank you. No, I don't want to do that. And he's like sitting on the couch, like reading this menu to me, like, oh, what about French fries? What about mozzarella sticks? And all of a sudden my stomach is doing some things. And I'm like, no, thank you. I don't think I should eat right now. And he's like, no, like French fries or like a sandwich. Like, what about, and I'm like, no, thank you. And it's like getting a little urgent. And I'm like, I think you gotta go. Like, why don't you just pick something off the menu? You go get it and I'll just see you in a minute. And he's like, are you sure? Like, you don't want to look at this menu again and all these options of food? And I'm like, you need to leave. And so he stands up and I've like barely shut the door behind him when I walk 1, 2, 3 steps into my bathroom and blow chunks like everywhere. Like, some of it got in the toilet, but most of it got like around the toilet and on my shower curtain and on the bath mat and the floor. Get it all out of my system. Feel much better afterwards. But I stand up and I look back at my guts all over this bathroom, at the abject horror of what my body has created, and think like, oh, this man I've been dating for 4 weeks is going to come back in 15 minutes and see all this. And so I gathered up my bath mat and my shower curtain and walked the 2 flights downstairs to the washer in my apartment basement, put it in the washer, came back upstairs, like bleached the toilet, bleached the ground, the wall, brushed my teeth, combed my hair, sat back on the couch like, no problem here, what's going on? As he comes back in with the French fries that, of course, then I happily wanted to eat. And he tells me now, 7 years later, that it's good he wasn't there for that, because he would have cut and run.